Introduction. There are a plethora of figures throughout history who have demonstrated an interest and have cultivated great levels of skill in multiple areas in the field of the arts. Some of the greatest classical musicians in history have ventured into a range of different avenues in order to express their creativity through mediums uncommon from their norm. In history, it was much more common for individuals to take up multiple crafts, as opposed to the specialized approach to career choice that's much more prevalent today. It wouldn't be uncommon during the era of the greats in classical music to find individuals with a multitude of talents. The absence of the trappings of our modern society undoubtedly played a major role in the fulfillment of this task, which may seem unrealistic to many today. For instance, the world-famous painter Leonardo da Vinci was a talented musician, although he achieved his fame through his artistic endeavors with the paintbrush. Many of the classical musicians of the 18th century and prior also had multiple talents and were skilled in a range of different arts, chess being one of them. Although much is known about the careers of many of the classical musicians, in regards to the music they're most known for producing, the same cannot be said for their personal hobbies and interests. Chess is one of the world's most popular board games today. However, chess was arguably much more coveted during the era of some of the greatest musicians in history. The lack of well-preserved memorabilia from the time period in which many of these musicians lived makes it difficult to piece together just how deep their relationship with chess was. However, it is certain that most of the classical musicians we are familiar with today were avid chess players and demonstrated immense talent and skill in the game. How well could Beethoven play chess? Chess was one of Beethoven's favorite pastimes, and he was an excellent chess player. Beethoven frequently played chess in his spare time and had numerous other hobbies and interests aside from composing music. Many of Beethoven's friends from his career in music and several of his family members also played chess, and they were among some of his most common opponents. Beethoven was surrounded by strong chess players for much of his life, which undoubtedly had an impact on his ability to play and his love for the game of chess. As skilled as Beethoven was at composing timeless music, he was also quite talented at chess, and when he wasn't composing music, he was likely playing chess among other hobbies and interests he enjoyed to partake in his free time. Beethoven was talented in many arts aside from music, and although he gained his fame and fortunes through music, Beethoven was also very fond of reading, poetry, and literature in addition to horseback riding. In music, Beethoven's talents extended beyond just composing music, as he was also a talented pianist and violinist. Beethoven had a range of different skills, with much of his skills revolving mostly around the category of music and interests that complemented his musical career, such as literature and poetry. Beethoven was likely introduced to chess early in his adolescence and is known to have enjoyed playing chess since he was a child and played passionately well into his adulthood. Chess has been and still is one of the most popular forms of entertainment, but especially so during the era of the legends of classical music. Many of Beethoven's friends in the musical sphere, as well as many of his closest relatives, were also very interested in chess and were among some of his most frequent opponents. The widespread popularity of chess in Europe may have been the result of chess's grand association with the class of intellectuals, wealth, and power. However, it meant that for individuals like Beethoven, there was no shortage of opponents to challenge to a game of chess, whether on the road or at home. Beethoven was undoubtedly surrounded by an enormous amount of strong chess players during his day, which unsurprisingly had a major impact on not only his ability to play, but his love for chess overall. One of Beethoven's main adversaries in chess, as well as one of his greatest friends, who was also a musician and an inventor, was Johann Nepomuk Malzel, who is rumored to be the one to introduce him to chess. Chess was extremely popular in Germany, where Beethoven was born, and also in Vienna, in the 18th and 19th centuries during the period when Beethoven was growing up, and it was common for artists of all kinds, from musicians to painters, to gather and play chess at the most popular locations in the city. A topic that may not have been covered in much detail, however, is the relationship between music and chess and the strong factors suggesting that being in close proximity to music, especially classical music, can have extremely positive benefits for chess players. Did Mozart play chess as well as he composed music? Chess was extremely popular in Austria during the time period in which Mozart lived, especially among the upper classes and the class of intellectuals. It's been reported that Mozart even composed several chess puzzles which he used to help him improve his chess. The passion Mozart had for chess manifested itself through the music he produced, with some of his songs being inspired by chess, and the famous The Marriage of the Figaro even features scenes where some of the characters are playing chess. Mozart enjoyed partaking in many activities in his free time, in addition to the music that gained him much fame. However, Mozart spent most of his life in and out of financial despair. Mozart was known to be an avid reader and enjoyed writing and poetry in addition to science, history, billiards, and of course, chess. Activities like chess and billiards, along with poetry and music, were some of the most popular forms of entertainment in Austria in the 18th century, and much of Mozart's peers and family members were likely as fond of these pastimes as Mozart was. Chess was particularly coveted among the upper classes of society and the class of intellectuals in Austria, as well as in many other countries, not just in Europe, but around the world. For Mozart, chess was a great passion, and it's even reported that Mozart even composed several chess puzzles in order to help him improve his endgame and to be able to better recognize winning positions. Mozart was consistently working to improve his chess game when he wasn't composing music among many of the other pastimes he enjoyed. The love Mozart had for chess even manifested itself through the timeless music he composed, and evidence of this can be seen in the world-renowned The Marriage of the Figaro, which featured several actors playing chess in numerous scenes throughout the musical. Even though Mozart was a passionate chess player and had composed several songs that were inspired by chess, in addition to a number of piano pieces, his love for music greatly overshadowed his love for chess. And this can evidently be seen in the legendary music he created, which gained him much more notoriety than his ventures into the world of chess. Mozart may not have been able to play chess as well as he could compose music, but he did nonetheless have a very strong fondness for the game, and like many other talented figures in history that exhibited genius in their chosen field, but were not necessarily chess players, Mozart very likely could have become a master of chess if he pursued it seriously. Like many of Mozart's contemporaries in music, Mozart would be considered as a very well-rounded individual and enjoyed a plethora of different interests and was skilled in the majority of his endeavors. Did Chopin play chess in his spare time? Frédéric Chopin enjoyed a range of different activities in his pastime, such as reading, attending plays and operas, gardening, and playing chess when he wasn't playing the piano or composing new music. Chopin was a talented chess player and is said to have enjoyed the mental challenge and the strategic nature of chess. Frédéric Chopin was considered to be very well educated, and his analytical mind and problem-solving skills were some of his greatest assets when playing chess. Frédéric Chopin was most famous for his outstanding ability to play the piano and compose music, and is regarded as one of the greatest musicians in history. In addition to being an extremely talented musician, Frédéric Chopin also was an extremely talented chess player and often played chess with many of his fellow pianists and composers. Chess had been a popular pastime in Poland, just like in many other European countries for centuries before the time of Chopin, and so it's not surprising that Chopin, alongside many of his peers and family members, also played chess. Chopin was considered to be very well educated and enjoyed a range of activities such as reading, poetry, attending plays and operas at the theater, gardening, and socializing with friends. Frédéric Chopin enjoyed the fact that chess was mentally challenging, and the fact that chess allowed him to develop his analytical mind and strategic capabilities, which he used to further excel in chess. The popularity of chess in Poland in the 19th century ensured that there was no shortage of opponents for Chopin to play, as there would be frequent chess games being played in cafes, parks, and a range of other public places Chopin would have visited during one of his typical days. Chopin's rise to fame was sparked by his talent for playing the piano, which was recognized at a very early age, which ultimately led to him studying with and learning from some of the most influential musicians of his time. Although it's not likely that chess was Chopin's favorite pastime above music, it is likely that Chopin played chess from a very early age. Chess was certainly on the list of pastimes Frédéric Chopin enjoyed indulging in his spare time, and was likely so since his early childhood days. It's as clear that Chopin's passion and talent for music was his greatest asset, which served him well throughout his career. However, a topic that has not been covered in as much or any detail is the impact playing chess had on his ability to create such masterful pieces of music like many of Chopin's contemporaries in the music industry. There is a strong connection between music and chess, and there has been much study in recent times on the positive impacts listening to classical music can have on one's ability to play chess, with promising results in favor of doing so, which may explain why many of the classical musicians were so fond of chess. Did Arnold Schoenberg play chess for entertainment? Arnold Schoenberg was known to be a great chess player and is rumored to have played chess during his breaks from composing music, and even more frequently in his free time. In addition to playing chess during breaks from composing music, Arnold Schoenberg even played chess whilst in the middle of composing some of his music, and was known to be a big chess fanatic. The mentally challenging nature of chess was one of the many aspects of chess that Arnold Schoenberg enjoyed the most about the game. Schoenberg, like many other classical musicians, was multi-talented and was skilled in a range of different arts in addition to music. Schoenberg was known to be an excellent painter, teacher, poet, scientist, and chess player, and would spend much of his time in libraries and bookstores. Chess has been one of the most popular forms of entertainment for centuries in Austria, and during the life of Schoenberg, there would have been a plethora of chess clubs and tournaments for Schoenberg to choose from and enter into. Chess was a big part of Schoenberg's life, and he is rumored to have played chess frequently throughout his days. For instance, it's been said that Arnold Schoenberg commonly played chess during breaks from composing music, and even more so in his free time, and even in the middle of composing music in some cases. Chess for many musicians was seen as a great aid when in the process of making new music, and greatly helped in fostering creativity. The importance of chess for many musicians as a tool to help with creativity is not a topic that has been covered in much detail. However, it is certain that playing chess is a great way to boost one's creativity, and may have been much more instrumental during the era of the legends of classical music than it has been credited for. There is a quote from Arnold Schoenberg that highlights this fact and confirms the reliability of this statement, in which he states that chess is a very good game to help with composing music because it helps the mind to think constructively. There has been much scientific studies done on the impact playing chess can have on one's mental functions, as chess can be very effective in developing the mind to think both creatively and strategically, ultimately leading to the state of making the most sound decisions possible in any given situation, whether it be for the task of composing music or any other task. Schoenberg had a passion for the field of academia and was also interested in subjects such as science and philosophy. Having such a numerous amount of different studies and paradigms to pull from would have greatly enhanced his ability to implement the most creative strategies when playing chess, as it is known that he would play in his leisure time and as a means to improve his constructive and strategic thinking. Of all the classical musicians of the 18th and 19th century, Arnold Schoenberg was among the most enthusiastic about chess and was probably one of the most passionate chess players. Did Igor Stravinsky play chess for leisure? Igor Stravinsky had various hobbies and interests he enjoyed in addition to music such as reading, literature, art, science, and chess. Stravinsky is also known to have enjoyed collecting and reading rare manuscripts and books. Igor Stravinsky enjoyed playing chess with his friends and colleagues in the music industry, and is said to have played chess as a way to relax and clear his mind. Chess was extremely popular in 19th century Russia during the peak of Stravinsky's musical reign, with a great number of the most prominent Russian chess players also being produced from this era. Igor Stravinsky was known for being one of the most influential musical composers of the 20th century, bringing to the public some of the most important and historical musical works. What may not be known to many is that Igor Stravinsky enjoyed a plethora of different hobbies and interests outside of music, such as reading, literature and poetry, art and science, in addition to many outdoor activities such as swimming, tennis, and hiking. For Stravinsky, chess proved to be a very effective way to clear his mind and relax after a tiring day, and playing chess helped greatly in composing new music, much like it did for Arnold Schoenberg and many other classical musicians. There was no shortage of formidable opponents for Stravinsky to challenge to a game of chess, as he would often play with his closest friends and many of his music colleagues. Russia in the 19th and 20th century was home to many of the greatest chess players, and chess was a highly regarded and widely socially accepted pastime. At this period in time, Russian chess players were beginning to make a name for themselves in the world of chess and became known for their tactical skill and innovative style of play. Igor Stravinsky was likely surrounded by a plethora of strong chess players wherever he was in his hometown, and was surely never too far away from a ready opponent to challenge to a game of chess, even in the absence of his friends and family. It's clear that Stravinsky was a strong proponent of chess, along with many of the other hobbies and interests he enjoyed in his leisure time. Stravinsky is even reported to have described chess as a perfect medium for creativity, and was fond of studying the games of other chess players and analyzing different chess strategies. The relationship Stravinsky had with the Russian chess grandmaster Boris Spassky also speaks to the strong affinity he had with chess, and Spassky is only one of the many celebrities that would frequently play chess with Stravinsky. As a musician, Igor Stravinsky had a strong appreciation for chess, as he was able to utilize chess as a tool to help with his creativity and mental health, but it was also used many times as a source of inspiration when creating musical compositions. Can listening to classical music help with chess? There has been much research on the impact listening to classical music can have on one's ability to play chess, and there is much scientific evidence to suggest that a chess player's game can be greatly enhanced by being in close proximity to classical music when playing chess. This is due to the fact that listening to classical music whilst playing chess is a very effective way to stimulate areas of the brain that can enhance one's ability to learn and retain information. The science behind the relationship between classical music and the many complex functions of the brain is a very interesting subject. There are many differences between classical music and the modern music many of us listen to today, and the differences, while subtle and undetectable to most, can impact the result of a chess game. Firstly, classical music mostly consists of instrumentals constructed harmoniously using real instruments and tuned to natural frequencies such as 432 Hz in order to promote a general sense of enjoyment and well-being. The absence of lyrics in classical music also allows the mind to enter into a meditative state and attain a sense of peace and clarity, which is helpful in mentally challenging games like chess. The effects of listening to classical music whilst playing chess can be seen by observing the various classical musicians mentioned previously and their natural talent for chess, which in many cases was done whilst listening to their own music. There are many similarities between chess and classical music, as both tasks require high levels of concentration as well as an analytical mind. To add to the list of similarities, both chess and classical music require an understanding of complex patterns and structures, and the underlying principles that govern the formation of these patterns and structures. The notion that listening to classical music can impact one's learning in positive ways is decades old, which many people had initially doubted the accuracy of. This belief led many parents to play classical music to their children while they slept, as they believed it could unlock genius within them. Whilst this may be an exaggerated statement, there is some truth to this notion, even if incremental in nature. Later studies were conducted to prove the accuracy of these claims by separating a class of children into groups in which one group were played classical music and asked to complete a series of tasks, whilst the other group completed the tasks in silence. The results of these studies showed that the children who were exposed to classical music whilst completing their tasks performed noticeably better than their counterparts who completed their tasks in silence. However, the effects were not long-lasting. The studies ultimately proclaim that whilst classical music can boost one's mental performance to enhance effectiveness in games like chess, the effects are not significantly long-lasting. However, they are noticeable. Conclusion: Many classical musicians were great chess players and played chess regularly, finding much enjoyment in the game, with many even using chess as inspiration for the creation of new music. Chess was extremely popular during the period of time when many of the classical musicians lived, and so it's not surprising that they were fans of chess, as it would have been nearly impossible for a game such as chess to go unnoticed, given the many similarities there are between music and chess. In addition to chess and music, many of the classical musicians had additional interests, with the majority of the classical musicians taking an interest in subjects such as art, literature, and poetry, science, outdoor sports, and activities. There are many similarities between playing chess and creating music, and in many cases, being proficient at one can be beneficial when tasked with the other. During the time of the greats of classical music, chess was very much highly regarded, especially among the upper classes and the class of intellectuals. And for many, playing chess would have been an encouraged pastime in early childhood. The absence of the many distractions of the modern age allowed many of these individuals to be able to take up multiple hobbies and to have enough curiosity to research numerous additional interests. One of the things that many of the classical musicians seem to have liked the most about chess is the mental challenge that a chess game presented them. For many of the classical musicians, composing new music was akin to finding the solution to a chess problem, and by playing chess, a creative solution or innovative idea for their musical creations could be found. Both playing chess and creating music requires an analytical and focused mind. And so, for many of the musicians of the classical era, playing chess would have been advantageous, as it required the use of many of the same mental functions, which would provide another method of developing these skills, however, through a medium viewed less as work and more as a form of entertainment.